Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Lynn and I'm glad to have you here today. I have for you today a tutorial for a hexagon cardigan. I call it, it's just short, I just always call it Hexicardi. If you like my content, give me a thumbs up if you don't mind and click the subscribe button. I have a few videos you can look back on. I have a couple tutorials. But for this, it is crocheted, and no, I have not woven in the ends yet. I will do that off screen, but I wanted to go ahead and get this up for y'all. Now, I made this with Big Twist Supernova in the colorway Milky Way Galaxy, I think. Actually, I have one right here. Yes, Milky Way Galaxy. So I did a size medium, which it's a 38-inch chest with some positive ease. I think it's like maybe 2-3 inches of positive ease. So it might end up being like more like a 40-inch chest, but I had a ball, and I hope you enjoy this tutorial. And like I said, if you like it, give it a thumbs up. I'd appreciate it. Now to the tutorial. Okay, so we have the Big Twist Supernova in Milky Way Galaxy color. And I have a 4.5 millimeter crochet hook. Now, I have never worked with this yarn before, so I have no clue if it's going to be any good or not. Now, I am usually a center pull person. Okay, that was pretty easy. I might have, you know what I might do? I have this little yarn holder I won off of Temu, and I wonder if it will hold it. So we shall see. And I'm going to keep that. See, I don't know if y'all, I've never tried it yet, so we'll give it a shot. But first I have to find the outside edge. There it is. Now, I don't know if I'm going to like this yarn or not. We'll see. I might have to stuff that back down in the middle there for a minute. There we go. Okay. So, we'll try to get this Hexicardi going. Alright, so with the Hexicardi, I start my magic circle, and I've told y'all I do the double loop. So basically you just, for those, I'm sorry, I didn't even think about that. I'm doing tutorial. Alright, so I take my first 2 fingers and I wrap them around 3 times, and then I hold the tail, and then I go up under the first 2, grab the third, kind of do a little twist. Now hold on to these 2 little loops, alright? Don't let them go, because that's going to be your anchor point. Alright, and then you just chain up 1. See, the last time I did this Hexicardi, I had not learned what a stacked single was yet. So, we're going to do a stacked single. Alright. So you go in, you make your single crochet, and then you take that little front bar on the left, the furthest away from your hook, grab it, go under, do a yarn over, pull that through, yarn over, pull that through. That's essentially just a double crochet. Alright, and you do Okay. So I do, this is, alright, so this is going to be my first cluster. It's 3 double crochets, right? One. I'm having a hard time with this stuff sticking to me. Alright, so now let's do another cluster. 3 double crochets. Chain 2. Do another. Another 3, that's 2. That's 3. Do a chain 2. Do another 3. Chain 2. Do another 3. Oops. I hope I wasn't getting off camera with that. Sorry about that. It's very hard for me to keep my hand on the mat. Alright, that's 1, 2, 3. And then chain 2. Now let's see here. Let me just count how many I have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright. Sorry about that. Okay. So, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I need one more because I need 6 clusters and 6 chain 2 spaces. So that's 1, 2, and 3, and then my chain 2. There we go. Alright, so I'm gonna pull, and the trick I've said before, always pull the loop that has the tail in it, pull it first, and that cinches up that center. Now, like I said, I've never worked with this yarn, so this is a totally new experience. It's like a roving. It's thick, thin, thick, thin. So it's kind of disconcerting to me because I'm used to just plain Jane. Back when, was it Lion Brand? I'm trying to combine Lion Brand with Red Heart. Who was it that had the, I think it was the Broadway yarn? I think it was Red Heart. I can't remember the actual name of the stuff because I didn't use it. So, alright, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the top of that stacked chain, or that stacked single crochet, and I'm going to slip stitch it. Alright, and I did not. So I'm going to grab the tail of this and go along. I will be right back. Sorry about that. Oh. Alright, so they're talking about, in most patterns, they want you to do a chain, and that's fine for 99% of the time. And on this Hexagon, the last time I did this, I did a chain 3. So I'm going to go back and do that. I didn't want to do it on that initial, but I'm going to do it here. 1, 2, 3. And then you turn your work over, and you're going to want to go back into that chain 2 space that you just slip stitched out of. I'm going to grab my tail because I don't like to weave in my tails. Y'all know me. Alright, so I'm going to yarn over, and I'm going to do a double crochet right here. Oops. So into this little chain space, I'm going to do my 2 doubles And I'll explain that, because that will be my first cluster. Okay, so they're counting this. Now, if I knew a way to do my standing single on a turn like that, it would probably be easier. But this is going to be in the armhole, so it's totally fine. Alright, so you chain 2, then you do 3 doubles. We're still in that chain 2 space from the previous round. Alright. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do that in each corner. We're going to make our little clusters in each corner. Now, since that's a different color, I'm not going to be able to carry that because it would be obvious. So I'm going to have to weave in that in. I don't like it. Alright, so we do 3 double crochets. Chain 2, 3 double crochets. Now the thing about this is we can do this no matter what size you are, no matter what size hook you use, and no matter what size your yarn is, because like the last Hexicardi I did, I just grabbed the measurements of a medium off of Hobie's website, because they have, like, I think it's from extra small up to maybe 2X in their measurements, but that doesn't even matter. I'll show y'all how to measure this for the measurements that you are, or the measurements of the person that you're making it for. Sorry, I had to get some drink. Alright, so now we've made 2 clusters. Now we're going into that next one, and we're going to double crochet 3. Maybe I should have got a 5mm hook. And I know this Supernova requires, it calls for a 4, but to me, it would be way too tight, way too tiny. But having never worked with this stuff, because I mean, see, it's still pretty tight with a 4.5, so I should have went up to a 5. Alright, so there's another cluster in that corner. I'm going to do another. So basically, we're just going to end up making 3 double crochet, 2 chain, 3 double crochet clusters in each of those 6 corners. How many was that? 2? Yeah, that was 2. You know, when you oops, I didn't mean to chain on that. When you look at this yarn, you don't think that it's that small, but it is very, very small. Because I mean, when you pull that stuff tight, it definitely goes thin. All right, we have 2 more. Now, after this row, I'm not going to keep you on camera for this. For one, my arms keep trying to pull my work to me because I'm half blind. But, alright, let's see here. Alright, now I'm going into my last chain space. Well, my last full chain space. So this is the last time I will work the 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet cluster. And then I will be meeting the beginning of the round where I had done just the, oh no, okay, so, yeah, it's one of those mornings, y'all. Okay, so on top of that chain 3 that I made at the very beginning, I'm just going to slip stitch into the very top of that, and I've finished my round. And there is, I know it's very hard to see with this yarn. I really wanted to make the tutorial in this yarn, and I'm thinking it's still going to work, but because you should be able to see, I've got, I had to look up to see if I could see my camera, but I can't. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's my 6 point right here. There we go. Where my fingers are my 6 points. And basically you're just going to be duplicating that throughout. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn again, and I'll show you this, and then we will do it go off ourselves. Okay. Now, I need to slip stitch back into that corner that I just came out of. All right. So I'm going to slip stitch back along. Oops, come on. Now this is where I will be able to do my standing single, because I can do it just like this. And then do my other 2 double crochets. Now, I do apologize, my hands are super stained. I was out in my greenhouse and I harvest my old green beans. At the end of the season, I will not pick my very last crop so that they can dry out, so I will have seeds for the next season. And that's what I was doing, and my hands are stained because of it, because I didn't pick them before we went on our trip, so they got rained on, and you know, they just get dark and start to crumble, and it leaves. It's almost like when I change my oil. I'm not even gonna lie. Or I work on the car any kind of way, because lately I haven't, in the last 5 or 6 years, I haven't changed my own oil. Alright, so I did my cluster in there. Now I'm going to go, let's see, in between. Hold on. I have to think about where I'm at. Grab me some soda. Sorry. I'm totally cheating today. I'm having a second soda. I'm totally cheating. That's alright. Okay. So what I'm doing is I'm going into that next gap. It's not a chain 2 gap, but you still need to put your 3 double crochets in it. And then go to your corner and do your corner clusters, which is 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets. I know I'm irritating when I do that. I keep pulling it back to me. I do apologize. Alright. So this is where I'm going in at. I'll try to show you over here. Alright, so here's my corner from the row below, where my fingers are. And I'm just going in that granny space and getting that done. And then putting my my 3 doubles in there. Okay, so see, there's another one. And it's very hard to see. To me, it's very hard. I know where I'm going in at, and I hope y'all can see that. If you can't, let me know. I don't want to make it in another color. I want to make a Hexagon in this color. That's why I'm hoping that y'all can follow along and see what I'm doing, because with the way I'm doing it, let me do one more. Let me get to this over here where it's a little bit easier to see. All right, so I'm gonna double crochet into this spot right here. Okay. From the previous two, in between the previous two corner clusters. So that's 1, 2, 3. Now I'm going into my corner cluster. It's 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet. All right. All right, here I go again. So I just did my corner cluster, and I'm going into this spot right here where I just poked my nail through with a double crochet, or 3 of them actually. Then I'm going to go into my corner with my corner cluster. All right, 3 doubles and a chain 2 and 3 doubles. That little tail is flopping around, irritating the mess out of me. Alright, now I'm going to go in here. Actually, I think I'm going to catch that tail right there. And go in right there with that, since I have that white on the bottom. Nope, I'm not going to do that. That looks tacky as mess. Sorry, I changed my mind, y'all. What I might do is, when I tell y'all that I will meet y'all back, I might weave in that tail. I don't know. I don't like to weave in the tail until I am 100% sure that I do not have to rip this project back out. Only because you just never know what you might have to do. Alright, so this is that last chain 3 space. I mean that chain 3. That last corner space. So 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet. Alright, now I have one more in between to do on this chain 3, these 3 double crochets. This is a very grabby yarn. It might be that little bit of wool in it, because Supernova, it is 80% acrylic and 20% wool. So it might be what's grabbing is this wool. That little bit of wool content. Alright, now I'm going to go slip stitch into the top of that standing crochet and slip stitch. Now, this is a matter of personal preference. I've seen multiple people do it multiple different ways. At this point, since I have that center piece, I don't slip stitch. I don't turn and then slip stitch my way back. I slip stitch the least amount of stitches. So I slip stitch toward this corner that I'm going toward. And I do my standing single. Ooh. And then I turn, and I know this is going to look weird for a second, but you go back into that. Actually, no. I'm going to have to take that out. I just did it totally wrong on y'all, and I'm sorry. I'm trying to remember how I did it. Because the last time when I made my sunflower cardi, I didn't do it that way. Now, how did I do it? Okay. All right. So, I did the 3 slip stitches, and then, or 2 slip stitches. I can't even see how many I did. So almost did it again. I had to delete that part of the video because I messed myself up. So, slip stitch into this, all right? And then you should be about center of that thing. So, that's when you either A, can slip stitch one more time and do a chain 3, or you can do the standing single. For me, I do the standing single, then turn, and then I do 2 double crochets, then I go to my next spot, my next little cluster gap, and I do a 3 double crochet cluster, and then go to my next gap, do another. I know I keep lifting it up on y'all, and I do apologize. We all know that I'm not the greatest at tutorials, but if y'all are willing to put up with me, I'm willing to do them. Alright, so now I'm going back into my corner cluster, which is the 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet. And you basically do this around. Now, this is where your measurements will be coming in, and you can fit this thing to anybody, whether it's yours or someone else's that you're gifting it to. Now, I'm going to finish this one cluster, and then I'm going to set it down, and I'll talk to y'all. Okay, so, oh wow, that's some fuzzy pieces. Alright, so, before it gets very unmanageable, go until one of these sides, because you have 6 of them, until one of them matches the measurement around the arm depth. That is just what it is. And I always go up to almost at the juncture of my shoulder and underarm, because on me, that's my biggest part of my arm. So I use the tape around there and find my measurement. Now, I will link down below the Hobie, their measurement chart, because, let me see, I'm going to grab it. Their measurement on one side, like for a medium, okay, it is 15 inches. So you would do 15 inches from one corner to the other corner. Now, this is less than 3 inches, but you know what I mean. When that gets to be that arm measurement around your upper arm that you've measured, I'll meet you back, okay? But go for that. Now, I like to use their measurement chart, but the Yarn Council has a measurement chart too, and that may be more appropriate here in the U.S. Now, for our overseas friends, Hobie might be more inclined, but they do extra small to 5XL on their chart. And I would be interested. Actually, I'm going to check that out, and I will be right back. Okay. Sorry, it's moving. Alright, so it is I went to the Craft Yarn Council, and basically you go to the body size and standards of measurements, and it doesn't have like a small, medium, or large. It just shows you how to measure the different parts of the body. And for something like this, that is the best way you can get all of the measurements that you want to get, okay? On most Hexicardies, I'll show y'all that when we get there, but for now, let's go for that arm measurement around the widest part of your upper arm, and that's different for everybody. This is not going to be for me, so I'm just going to do a standard maybe 15 or 16 inches on each of the sides, and I will see you back then. Oh, and before I get too far, I was just going along here, and I thought, oh crap, I might be interchanging my words here. Alright, so what I'm talking about when I do a single crochet and then I do another single crochet on top of it, I think I was calling it a standing single crochet, but it's a stacked single crochet. I don't know what I was calling it. I know it hadn't been but maybe 5 minutes ago or maybe 10 minutes ago, but they're interchangeable words in my brain, and so sometimes I may say the wrong thing, and I do apologize. A few years ago, I had a round of seizures, and I think it kind of impaired some of the thought processes. It's not as bad as having a stroke, but I think it's just rewired my brain sometimes. So I may say one thing meaning another, and it's not me having a blonde moment, I promise. I do have those on occasion, but usually it's not a super bad thing. But when at least it's close. Sometimes my brain substitutes a word that is not even nowhere remotely related to what I'm trying to spit out. And the only reason I know what's happening is because, well, for one, my mother had a stroke, but other people have had strokes in my life, and I've noticed that if there's any brain compromised time during that stroke, that it does. Sometimes the words just don't quite work right. But anyway, so if you hear me saying a stacked single or a standing single, they're about the same. All right, just please know what I mean. What I mean is I'm doing a single crochet on top of another single crochet. Okay. Oh, do y'all remember I was telling y'all about the when I was doing my hand sewing my bags? I told y'all that that needle went in my finger. Now they've healed up a lot because it was a lot more. They were a lot longer, but the challenges of hand sewing when you haven't done it in a second. All right, I will see y'all when we get to our one side measurements. And like I said, I think I'm going to go for maybe a 15 or 16. That should give me about a size medium US standard. So I will see you back. Okay, so we are back in this. Now I have reached approximately my 15 inches. I did go a little bit over, and I will confess that, because I wasn't paying attention and just started doing my chest expansion and my length, and I had to rip it all out because I kind of forgot I was doing a tutorial. I will admit that. All right, so when you have your hexagon, you want to fold it to where you have a big L. All right, I'm going to try to show you on camera how I do that. Now, this over here, this is going to be your sleeves. All right, this is your armpit. This is your shoulder. This is your chest opening. And then this is your waist. All right, so what we need to do, and you can do this any which way you want to. I'm going to turn this so that I can pin it properly. I always put stitch markers in because it does two things for me. One, it keeps it in a cardigan shape so I know exactly where I'm at at any given moment by looking at the piece. And two, it makes sure that when you're coming back up this area here, that you're not going to accidentally go and start working on your arm again. Because for all intents and purposes, for the moment, the arm is put on hold. All right, we will go back later and work on the arm and then work on the wrist and whatnot and give you a nice little edging on the wristband. And I always do it right here at the very turning for the shoulder, because this is my neck, all right? And I know red means stop, so I always get that done. Now, let me sit down and we will work forward from here. All right. So this is my turning corner, my turning. So I do my stacked single, standing single. Yeah, we've discussed this already. So you do that back into this turning space, and you do your 2 double crochets. And then you just keep going around, and this time you are going to do only 3 flat sides, right? You're going to come down, you're going to go over on this flat side here, and then you're going to come up this side. And then I will meet you after you've done your third flat stretch. I will meet you back here. But you just keep going in the pattern that you've done with the granny stitches. And we will come back and I will show you how we're going to turn and keep expanding this, and where to get your information from as far as how much you need to expand the chest measurements and then the length. So I will be back. Okay. So we're coming right back to this corner. Now, let me do my last double crochet in that chain, or that space. All right. So in this corner space, I'm going to do just 1 cluster of 3 double crochets. All right. Now that ends that round. So I'm going to turn it. Now, this is where my preferences may differ from yours. If you want to do a chain 3, by all means, do a chain 3. I'm going to do my standing single crochet, stacked single. All right, and then you're going to take and go into that first space there and do your cluster. And that's it for that turning. Now, it will add a little bit more substantial doing it the standing single. But if you want to do it the chain 3, you're more than welcome to. Now, to me, this is the awkward part, or not awkward, but it's a little fiddly, because I try to tuck this out of my way. And when I'm holding it on my lap, it's a lot easier because it just falls away. But you work those same 3 pieces the same 3 sides you worked to get here, you work back down them. And that's basically all you do. I will meet you when we get back to the front side or back side, depending on which arm this is going to be. And I don't decide that till I make my second hexie. But I will meet you when we get back here, okay? So, we are almost to the corner. Now, we're going to do a cluster here in this little space, a 3 DC cluster, 3 double crochet cluster. All right. Now, my stacked single, your chain 3 is, oh, I have a hair, sorry. It is right here. I want you to put a double crochet right into the top of that, all right? And then we're going to turn our work. All right, now we're going back. Now, when I say this, it's all a matter of preference, right? You can do it a matter of, let's see, I do a stacked single. So instead of a chain 3, either do a chain 3 or a stacked single straight in that space that you just created before you turned. And then basically you're just doing a cluster, whether you start with a chain 3 or a stacked single. All right, so you do your cluster of 3 right there, and then you move on. Now, we're about to talk about measurements and whatnot and how many you do. I just wanted y'all to see how to start off these rows where we're stopping, you know, for the shoulder or for the neck and the back. I just wanted to get this fundamentally down for you before we start talking about size measurements. So repeat this one more time with all 3 panels to get back to the other side, back here. All right. Once you get back here, once I get back here, I will be back and we'll talk about sizing and whatnot. Okay. Okay. So now we have worked our 3 sides and we're working into this very last space. What I want you to do is 2 double crochets in that space, and then that 3rd double crochet we're going to put either in the top of the stacked single or your chain 3, whichever one you did. I did the stacked single, so we're going to put it in there. All right. Now, this is where we were talking about measurements. So from here on out, I want you to do some math. If you've done your chest size, I need you to divide it into 4, okay? And that will give you your quarter chest measurement. Or the reason a quarter chest measurement is important is because right here, from the underarm to this side, the chest measurement I'm working with is 38 inches around circumference, right? So I divided that by 4 and I get 9.5. Well, for me, that means I'm at where I need to stop with just those 3 rounds. And if you're doing a smaller size, you may not even get to do that. But, and then a larger size, you know, you just keep adding those 3, just working on those 3 panels that we just walked through, okay? For me, I'm stopping here, and I'm going to put this to the side, and I'm going to start my other side. Now, once you get your second side, okay, I'm jumping ahead. I do apologize. Get this side finished to where when you go from your underarm to the outside edge, you are at your quarter chest measurement. You are at a quarter of what your final measurement will be. Now, I will tell you this. There is some positive ease on this cardigan, because we're going to go, you'll see this in a minute when we go and get our second piece done. We're going to be adding some on the back side. So it will have some give to the size. This is not meant to be a negative ease project, so that's okay. Now, I'm going to go do my second one, but what I want you to do is finish the size that you need. Get your measurement out there and make another one to match and meet me back here. Oh, yeah, I guess I should have mentioned, once you get to this point, go ahead and fasten this off. I'm pretty much done with my little scrap. That's why I wasn't worried about saying fasten it off. because I'm going to have to start a new ball. But this is the point where if you're working out of one continual ball, go ahead, cut it, fasten it off, and be done with it. Because you're pretty much done with this part of it. And I'm going to go ahead and fasten it off because I don't need to have a piece attached. Now, I will say, if you happen to be using Big Twist Supernova, I was scared this wouldn't frog very easily, but it frogged very nicely, you know, because like I said, I had to pull out about half of a entire row around all 6 sizes because I got just crazy happy. Actually, no, it was about 3 rows. It's like, it just got dark maybe 30 minutes. I mean, just got dark. Just got light about 30 minutes ago, so my phone is recording this, so I can't tell exactly what time it is, but it's probably 7:30 in the morning. And my caffeine just is not hitting the mark this morning. So, fasten this off when you're finished to the size that you need for your chest measurements. Because remember, you're going to have to multiply whatever this is by 4. Okay? So I will see you back when you've got your second piece made to the chest measurements you need. Okay, so you have completed your second side. Your yarn is still attached here. I got ahead of myself again. I do apologize, but I will pull it out so we are on the same page. Okay, let me pull that back through. Okay, so if you want to lay both panels out, I can't pull my camera up at the moment, but if you want to lay both sides out so that you see that they match, go right ahead. But basically what we're going to be doing, we're going to work down what will be the back side of your cardigan, and then we'll come back up from the other side and combine them. I mean, join them as we go. Alright, so let's go down first. You can either do the standing single, stacked single, y'all know what I said about that, or a chain 3 in top of that first DC right there, or the top of that first double crochet, and then do your 2 right here, and then continue on with your regular clusters. And when you get all the way down to the very bottom of this piece right here, once you get all the way down here, I'll be back. Okay, so now that you've gotten to the end, turn your work, and again, however you want to make your double crochet, whether it's a chain 3 or a standing single, stacked single, do that now. And then we are going to set this to the side for just a second. And I want you to get your other side out. Now, pull it to where, I'm trying to make sure this is in frame. Alright, so this is your sleeve of your second piece. Alright. This is the back side. So pull it all the way down to where you're right here at this corner and flip it over. Alright. After you flip it over, I'm going to have you slip stitch into the corner of that piece. Alright. So go in, grab it, slip stitch. Now, sorry about that. My son, daughter-in-law, and grandbaby just came up, so Alright, so basically we've attached them two with the slip stitch. Now I need you to go back into the stitch. We're basically going to create our double crochet cluster. So do 2 double crochets in the same stitch as that turning, and then you put that single stack single or your chain 3. Alright, now on the next chain space or the next space, slip stitch into there, and this is just a simple join as you go. Yarn over and then go back to your other side and make your double crochet, make your second double crochet, and make your third. And then you're gonna go back to your other side and go through that one little area, grab that, slip stitch it there, and this is just as simple as of a join as you go as you can get. And then come back to your first side and do your 3 double crochet cluster. Okay, now when you get finished with this, when you get up to the neckline, I'll be back. Alright, so if you've done where we're at, you have gone from here, and it's looking something similar to this right here. Okay, and you're going to go all the way over here to this end, and depending on which row you stopped at, you've slip stitched here, you've come back over here, you did your 3 double crochet cluster. Now I want you to do 1 more double crochet in the top of either your standing single, stacked single, or your chain 3. Alright, and then I want you to go into the top of the very last stitch on this side, and slip up under there. It's a little bit evasive. It just depends on whether you did a slip stitch, I mean a chain 3, or you did a standing single. So this is what you're looking like right here. Okay, and then we will be right back. Okay, sorry about that. Alright, so what I want you to do now, I do have some stitch markers in place, but they were just temporary holding my sleeves together, right? So I want you to kind of make that thing very super long and flip your piece over to where the opening on the front is facing you, the front of your sweater, the front of your cardigan. Okay, now we need to go 1, 2, 3. All right, so that one's actually already in the right spot. Now this is where you just put these together. Now I need you to go to 1, 2, and I have to unhook this one. Like I said, they were only temporary. So 1, 2, 3, and go put a stitch marker in that 3rd space. We're setting up for the shoulders and seaming the sleeves, okay? Alright, so you can do one of 2 things at this point. I flip my work back over and I work some slip stitches here, or you can fasten this off, have a tail to weave in, and it will be just fine, and then pick it up right here from the back side. So you pick whichever way you want to do it, and I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to flip my work all the way over, and usually with thicker yarn I can kind of hide my slip stitches, but since I cannot do that with this garment, I am going to fasten off here. And then I'll just weave in that end later. It's not the end of the world. I do not like to weave in ends. We already know that. I've established that. But it'll be okay. Alright, so now what I need y'all to do is we're going to join our yarn right here in this cluster right here. Alright? Because I have one, oops, nope, they have to line up. Alright. See, because I had this already in here, I just left it without thinking about it. But, alright, so what I want you to do, start in that third space. 1, 2, 3. Attach your yarn here. And I'm going to have to use my other remainder of the thing. Okay. Now, I've seen it done several ways, and this is where I'm going to give y'all you do whatever your preference, you know, whatever you like to do. With me, I like a little bit more. I don't want any more width on my arms. So, the typical join as you go, I would go down this way, attach it at the very end of that sleeve, and run back up. I don't want to do that because I don't want to add anything to the circumference of my sleeves. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line everything up. And where I just attach this, I'm going to go into the corresponding one. Actually, I'm going to make my cluster first. Sorry. It's one of those days. Let me sit down. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to do my standing single, stacked single. And I'm going to do my 2 double crochets in that same chain. Or it's not a chain space, but it is a space. Alright. Get that little thing out of my way. I have to stand back up. I do apologize. Like I said, we know I'm not the best at tutorials, right? Alright, so with it laying flat, you can see that just past this one right here, if I lift it up, that's where I need to do my slip stitch, okay? So I'm going to slip stitch right there. If I keep my thing from sliding out. Alright, and then go back into your back piece, do your 3 double crochet cluster. Then go to your next space, do a slip stitch, yarn over, come back to your next space on the back side and do your clusters, and continue going on like this and all the way down to the end of the sleeve. Now we are not finished adding length to your sleeve yet, but this will seam up the shoulders, okay? So when you get to the end of the sleeve, meet me back here, okay? You can pause the video. Okay, so we are almost to the end, but I wanted to come back and point out something. When I did my stacked single or standing single right here, I slip stitched into that space so that I anchored the front to the back like that, okay? Now, if you're not confused enough, all right, there's your top seam of your sleeve. Now, I'm going to come over here. I have gotten all the way. I'm going to have to take out my little stitch marker. I hope this is light enough. I'm losing daylight quick. I might have to put my ring light on. All right, so I'm going into this right here, and I'm slip stitching, and then I'm coming back on my back side, and I'm putting my 3 double crochets in this space. Now what I'm going to do, so that it doesn't make it odd, I'm going to try anyway. Alright, let's see. Alright, I was going to try to do it in that double crochet, but I think what I'm going to do is just slide it right back into that same space and do another slip stitch just to kind of tack them together, okay? There you go. Now that will smooth itself out when we go to add length for our sleeves, so don't stress that. Alright, we are going to fasten off. Okay, fasten that off. Come over here. Alright, flip your work back to the front again. And you'll see that you've got your shoulder seam. There's the back of the neck. Here's the front. It's not going to be a huge collar there, okay? I mean, it can kind of lay out like that right there after you block it. Alright, and then we're going to go right here and match it up to the front of this one. Now you can do, what I did is I went from here and I marked, and I matched up every chain, I keep saying chain space, but there's no chain spaces in this one. So I keep matching each space all the way to the front. Trying to do it in the camera and it's not working. Okay. Okay, that's lined up. This is just a little bit of tediousness, but it's well worth it in the end. That way you know that your spaces are matched up. How'd I get off there? All right. Alright, so this space and that space. Okay, so this is where I'm going to go in. Now I work, since I am right-handed, I work from right to left. If you want to, whatever feels comfortable for you, if you're more comfortable working from the back side, you can start here and come this way from the back. But I personally like to do it this way because I can dictate where this ends up, and then I can, if I need to alter anything, I can alter it down here at the sleeve where I'm going to be adding stuff anyway. So basically what I want you to do, I'm going to move that to the side. I'm going to leave that in just for a second. And I'm going to use my seam that I just cut from my fastening off. I'm going to do a standing single crochet or stacked single. I'm going to go in here Oops, I about did it again. I keep trying to go through both, and it doesn't quite work like that. All right. All right, so I'm going to do the same thing as I did over there. I'm going to go in here. I'm going to slip stitch. And then do my my other 2 doubles in this first space that I went into originally, okay? If I can make my double crochet without messing up. I give up on that second double. Let me do it. There we go. Alright. And then I'm going to go to the next space on my back side, slip stitch into there, come back to my front, go to the next space, and do my 3 double crochet cluster, okay? And you do this down to the end of the sleeve, just like you did on the other side, okay? I'll meet you back. Okay, so now that you have got both shoulders seamed, I want you to have a measurement. You need to measure either from wrist to wrist and divide that in half, or you can go by either your spine or the person's center back spine, or right here at the very base of your throat, and go to your wrist. What that will give you is how long you need to make your sleeve. Here where we put the 2 back seams, here where we combine we joined the 2 back pieces, you'll measure from that to the wrist, and that will be your measurement. All right? Well, the thing about this is you need to take that measurement and take 4 inches off. All right? Because I've already done the other. I'm going to take this off my lap. Off the table so I can show you this. I've already done the other sleeve. Okay? And this is where I joined my yarn. And I did roughly 22 inches from the center back where we seamed those 2 pieces. I did 22 inches total. All right. And then I started to decrease rounds. So keep that in mind here in a little while. Now, going back to the sleeve we're currently working on, I'm going to show y'all a little trick that I do. You don't have to do this. I just don't like overly puffy sleeves. So this is the way I do it. All right. Right here where the seam is where we sewed these together, I went directly over here and added a stitch marker. Sorry about that. So what I will end up doing, and I'll show you when I get there, is I will do, instead of a cluster of 3 double crochets, I'll do a cluster of 2. I'll do that here, here, and here. So that's basically taking out an entire cluster. That is a very gradual, since we're only going to be doing this much on my particular one. Yours may change because of your measurements, because you need it to fit either the person you're making it for or yourself, however you do it. But what I need you to do is go ahead and go back to this seam, and I always go into not the space between where I did the join as you go. I always go to this corner right here. You can do a chain 3 or a standing stacked single, however you want to do it. do that and 2 double crochets to start this round off, okay? And we'll basically be doing, just go into the next space, and we're going to be doing 3 double crochet clusters. Easy peasy. And then when we get down here, I'll show y'all how I did that. And then we can, you know, you can meet me back here or whatnot. But I am sorry. Yeah, I know y'all don't know that this is taking so long for me to get out, but it is taking forever because of me working more hours because of the holiday season. It's getting a little nerve-wracking because I'm trying to get this filmed only during daylight hours, and unfortunately by the time I get home from work, it's only about an hour and a half of daylight, and that's not always conducive. So if you do see me have to put on regular light instead of using natural light, that is why. And if that does happen, I do apologize now ahead of time. And this thing is recording upside down. I hope my son can change this in editing. Alright, so if not, I might have to re-record this. I apologize, y'all. Today is not my day. I'm just going to be totally honest. I know y'all came here for a tutorial, but those of you who actually watch my channel, you understand. It's not all tutorial. Okay, so when I get to one space away from my stitch marker, I'm only going to do 2 double crochets in that. And then I'm going to go to the one that has my marker, and I'm only going to do 2 double crochets. This gives it a little bit of a decrease without being ugly. Oops, I about messed up. I put 3 in there. Had to pull one out. It doesn't make it obvious, but it does give you a little bit of a slope of a decrease. Now, if you want a little bit more, you can do the same thing. I did it again. Sorry, guys. 2 double. Alright, so see, I did 3 double crochet clusters up until these 3 clusters. And then I did 2 double crochets in each of those clusters. But if you want to do a little bit more of a decrease, you can always go on the opposite side, you know, over there where we joined the shoulders together to join the sleeves. Back at the beginning of this round, you can do it there too. So you're decreasing 1 total cluster. It doesn't feel like that because you're only decreasing double crochets, but it does make a slight difference. It's not huge, and I like the fact that it's very subtle. Now we're going to get back around here, and I hope I'm still in enough light. Now this next section may have to be with the ring light because it's going to take me a couple minutes to get all of this done to a point to where I can film, I can record some more. But, because, you know, normally I don't make y'all go on a whole loop here. But, a whole round. But I did want to show y'all how I did the 2 double crochet clusters. And we will be doing that more in the decrease rounds. But for now, we're just doing only if you want that slight little decrease. And I personally do it for every round. Alright. So, just like before, I turn my work. Oh, I slip stitched into the top of that standing stack single. So I turn my work, and I'm working from the wrong side here, and I do my stack standing single. Y'all can do a double chain 3 if you want. All right, and then I work back, and I basically mimic that same row I just did, including my little decreases, until you reach whatever measurement from the center of the body to the wrist minus 4 inches. Mine happened to be 22 from the center back to where I start my decrease, my big decrease rounds, because my big decrease rounds and then the wrist, that's about 3 to 4 inches. I always go a little extra. So my measurements were originally 24. But the last time I made it to 24 inches, it was too short. So I said, I'm going to add 2 more inches. So this time I'm doing it that way. So go ahead, get to your final measurement minus 4, and I will meet you back here to do the decrease and then do the wrist cuff. Okay, welcome back. I told you I would probably end up having to use my ring light, and if it's a glaringly bad difference, I am very sorry. Alright, so I have reached the end of mine. Now, keep track of how many rows that you end up doing from your starting point here where you joined your yarn. Mine happened to be 7 to get to my measurement. That way you'll know what to do on the other side. Well, I've already showed you that I did the other side, so I kind of cheated. I was able to match these because I did 7 rows on that one, so I did 7 rows on this one. So just keep note of that so you'll know what to do on your second sleeve. Alright, so I just joined them. Now's the time to where I stop turning my work. So I go in. You either do your chain 3, stacked, standing single, whichever one you want to do. Alright, and then you do one more. Only one, because this is our decrease round, okay? So just do what will equivalent to 2 double crochets all the way around. Now, when you get to the other side, if you did that gradual decrease like I do, don't worry about decreasing at that. That is done. You know, you're not... This is the major decrease. I like this pink that's coming out. But go ahead and do your 2 double crochet clusters all the way around, and I will meet you when we get back here. Okay, now that you've finished your round of 2 double crochet clusters, this is where the biggest impact of your decreases are going to start. So I'm doing my standing single, stack single, do your chain 3, whichever way you prefer. Alright, that's it. So you start there, then you go into the next space, do 1 double crochet, then do another, go to your next space and do another double crochet. So you're just going to do 1 single double crochet. I said that wrong. You're only going to do 1 double crochet in each space all the way around. And like I said, this is where it really starts to cinch it in and get these decreases going. Now, you don't have to do these decreases. If you like a straight sleeve, and sorry, I'm having to turn my whole sweater in my lap. If you like a straight sleeve, you don't have to do any of these decreases. That's totally up to you. I personally like a cinched wrist. I don't like it to be the same going from my shoulders all the way down with no wrist cuff. But you do whatever you decide that you like, or whatever pattern that the person, if you're making it for someone else, that they like. It's totally doable any which way you do it. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the video, but you see how we went from, oops, let me see if I can get it in. Get a good shot here. We went from 3 to 2 to 1. So go ahead and I will meet you back here when I get at the beginning of that round. Okay. Now at this point, I want you to count how many double crochets you just did. It doesn't matter how many you ended up with, but it does matter only in the regards to where you need an even number. So you may have to do an extra double crochet in between that last one and your slip stitching into the first stitch. The reason you have to do that is because we're going to do crochet's version of ribbed cuff, and that's front post double crochet, back post double crochet. But you need an even number around to be able to set that up. So you could do one of two things. You could either add a double crochet or take this one out. It doesn't matter. As long as you have that even number. You just want both sleeves to have the same number. Okay? And then you do your stacked single or standing single or chain 3. So I want you to do one more round of this and I will meet you back. And then at the end of this round, when you go to slip stitch it, make sure you count and you ended up with the same amount of as you did on this previous row, then that it's even. And the reason I say that is because you're going to be setting up this row right here. The previous row you wanted even so that it would set up for the wrist. But this is the one, these double crochets are the ones you're going to be doing front post and back post these double crochets around. And you know, it's getting tight. You know, you can definitely tell you've decreased a lot at this point. So when you finish this round, I will meet you back where we're going to join at the beginning of this round and then start our front post, back post double crochets to make the rib cuff. Okay. So now I'm going to slip stitch right into the top of that standing single. Alright, now this is where we start the front post and back post. So go ahead and make you a chain 1. That does not count as anything, alright? And then you're going to do a front post double crochet. So you go in underneath, you just kind of have to maneuver. If you've never done a front post or back post, today's your day. You have this, I have no doubt. So do your yarn over, put your hook in and go under that post and come back around, and that is your front post double crochet. With your back post, go underneath the top of your previous double crochet, go around the front, then grab your yarn over, bring it out the back. So with the back post double crochet, you're doing everything out the back, and then the front post, you're going in the front underneath it, but everything is still in the front. When you do your yarn over, you're still in the front. And then the next, you go in from the back yarn over, keep it in the back. See, easy peasy. So keep in that pattern until you get all the way back around, okay? And I'll see you then. Okay. So I'm about to join back. I don't join into that chain one. I just go straight into that first front post double crochet, okay? Now, this is where we're about to start our counting for the wrist cuff. Usually, I'll do 4 to 5. Not counting that row I just did. Yes, counting that row I just did. Sorry. So we will do... No, not counting that. Sorry. That was my setup row. It's late. I'm tired. So now chain 1 again. Like I said, it doesn't count for anything. And let's do a front post around your very first front post. Then do a back post around the previous back post. Basically, you're going to be... I hope I'm still on camera. It keeps pulling toward me, and I can't help it. It's just my elbows. They just want to naturally bend back toward me. But anyway, so for every front post double crochet, you do a front post in that front post double crochet. And then when you get to the back post, do a back post. So basically, you're going to do that around. Now, not counting that setup row, I want you to do 5 more rows of this, okay? And it's going to give you a pretty long, decent cuff. Let me see. I'm trying not to pull my thing completely off my lap, and it's trying to anyway. And yes, because of the yarn I'm using, my cuffs will not match color, but that's all right. So it will be that foundation row of setting it up and then 5 rows past that, okay? I will meet you back here after I've done 5 rows. Okay. So I just finished my 5th row. I'm going to join it and see. It's hard to see with my multicolored yarn, but, you know, as someone who knits and crochets, I will take this. Because the very first time I tried this cardigan with my the way I do things, I tried to knit that rib cuff. And it just did not work. So slip stitch into your into that first stitch and fasten off. And we will get, the next section is adding, the next section is adding length to the body. And I don't weave these in until the very last bit, just in case I want to add any length to anything. So I just leave these hanging and I will deal with them later. So I will be back and we will do the body. Okay, so with your cardigan facing you, here is the back and here's the front 2 panels. I want you to turn it upside down to where you're looking at your bottom hem, all right? This is the front. So here's your 2 front pieces, and there's your back. There's your, this is where we joined it, remember? All right, so we're going to add our yarn right here in this corner space. I had to sit back down, sorry. I stand up, especially when I have to move the cardigan around, because it's just easier for me. Now, I'm going to try to do this here real quick. Alright, and you do your preference. whether it's chain 3, stacked, or standing single, and just do one cluster right here in this corner space. Alright, and I want you to go all along here and put a cluster in each of these spaces, a 3 double crochet cluster in each one of those. Now I'm going to show you what to do when you get to that join space where we join the 2 back panels. Alright, so you have your choice. You can put it here, right where I put my fingernail, or you can put it here. I prefer to put it here. It's just it doesn't matter, you know, if you want to. And I have, not in this particular design, but like when I'm joining granny squares and stuff, and then I'm going outside like to do a border, I have done either 1 in here and 2 in here, or 2 in here and 1 in here. Or like I did on my sleeves, I just did it all in this space right here, and did my other cluster in this space. Whichever way you prefer. And that's the lovely thing about this. There's no right way or wrong way. Try it. Do a couple past it and see if you like how it looks. If you don't, take it out and do the other way. It's just a matter of what looks right to you and what you like. That's kind of how I have always self-drafted. It's like, do I like how this looks? Nope. So I rip it out and try it a different way. Do I like how that looks? Yeah. Can I make it better? And I just keep doing that until I like the final results. And that's all. That's just me and experimenting. And like I said, you know, I wasn't big on crochet patterns when I first started crocheting. I could follow a knit pattern, but when I first learned to crochet, it was like, yeah, no. I know what I want in my mind, so what stitches can I get to get there? And how can I figure out how to do it? But like we've talked before, this is before YouTube and tutorials came around to where you had somebody showing you step by step. So, go ahead and do that. And I will meet you when you get to the other corner of your front panel. Alright? Okay. So, I'm going into my corner space from the front of the cardigan, and I'm making my last cluster. Then I want you to turn it and do whatever your however you do it, whether you want to do a chain 3 or standing stacked single, you know. I know I say this at every time, but I feel like I have to, you know, make sure I keep saying it right. Alright, so you do that, and then you come over to that first space in between your clusters, and you make another cluster. Another, I call it granny stitch clusters myself, but another 3 double crochets. And you do that all the way back across till you get to the next corner. And then there will be this row right here. So say we count this row here as row 1. We can count this row as row 2. And then we'll do another row before you continue on. Just remember, whenever you stop on this row right here. Because you're going to need, when we go to do the edging, you're going to need this row in this kind of format, okay? So go ahead, oops, I hit my sewing thing. Go ahead and go ahead and do your clusters all the way to the other end, and I'll meet you back. Okay. You know how I said that this row would be key? You know how we started off with basically one double crochet and then we skipped. Here, hold on. Let me bring it back into the camera. And alright. See how we did that one little double crochet there? Well, it will be a chain 3 or stacked or standing single crochet, and then we jumped into that first space. We're basically mimicking that on this end. Okay, so we're coming out of that space and we're going to go into the very first stitch, which could be your chain, top of your chain, or it could be the top of that standing single. And that looked funny, so I'm going to take that back out. For some reason I stretched my stitch, and I can't stand it when that happens. But anyway. Alright, we're going to do that. And then we're going to turn our work. Sorry, it takes me a minute to turn this onto my lap. Okay. So, do your chain 3 or standing stacked single. Y'all know I will pick standing stacked single every time. Every time. I love the way it looks. Alright, and then right there in that space that you created, do 2 double crochets. So essentially we're just making a cluster right there, okay? Do your granny stitch clusters all the way across your 3 double crochet clusters, however you want to say it. It doesn't matter. It's all the same, right? I told y'all, sometimes my words don't quite translate from my brain out my mouth, right? Or what I'm thinking, it doesn't really quite come out. But anyway, we are, oops, my thing got crazy. Alright, so go ahead, go all the way across, and I will meet you at the other corner. Okay, now that we're back here at this corner, I want you to do 2 double crochets in that space, and then whatever you used at the beginning, whether it's chain 3 or stacked standing single, go ahead and do a double crochet in the top of it. Turn your work. Like I said, it takes a second for me to turn this thing on my lap. Start your thing off however you do it. You know me. Alright. Couldn't get it in there for some reason. Alright. And you're going to go back. This is the quote unquote row 2, to where you just start with your chain 3 or stacked oh jeezy Pete, my words are failing me. Anyway, start it off and then jump to your next space and do your chain, oh jeezy Pete, your 3 double crochet cluster. Can y'all tell it's getting late? But anyway, so you're gonna be doing basically this second row and this third row over and over and over until you reach the length that you want your cardigan. And make sure that when you stop on one that has this right here that we're doing right now, because this is considered row 2. So do that, and then after you get to the length that you want and stop, I'll show you how to do the edging, okay? Just make sure you end up on a row that you're doing this on both ends. Okay, so I have finished my length, which for me, I do apologize. For me, on this particular sizing, I did 24 inches so that the length is a little longer than, usual. Only by like a ½ inch, but not that much. So, what I want you to do, you see this little space that you created by ending on this row? Turn it. Go back into that cluster. You can either do a slip stitch and chain 3, or you can do the standing stacked single, which I'm going to do this. Y'all know me. All right. And I know this sounds redundant, but to get back to where we need to be, go across all the way to the end on your bottom edge, because now we're in the edging. So go along the bottom edge with this, do clusters in every space, okay? And I will meet you back here. Side note, so if you do want to do a different color on your outside border, this is the row to do it on. So if you want to change up your colors, go ahead and fasten off on that corner and then add in your new color to go across here. Now I say, now we're going to go back to, I will meet you at the other edge, at the other corner, when you get across here, okay? Okay, so now that we've reached our corner, now if you were to fold this properly, or to lay it out like you were to be looking at the front side, this would be on your left-hand side going up, the left side of your body. So what I want you to do, you did your cluster into that very last space, chain 2, because you're just going to turn the corner, and then 3 double crochets right back into that same space. And then go along every space all the way up the side of that left side of your cardigan. And when you get, let me slide this little lovely here. This is the top corner of that side, almost like the collar. So I will meet you when we get back here, okay? Okay, so I realized my error, and I figured I needed to come back and show y'all. For the entirety of the length that you added, you will not have your typical double crochet cluster space. You're going to have the side spaces. And if you know how to work with these, skip forward, don't worry about it. Catch me up when we get to that corner. But if you don't, I'm going to show you. All right, so we went back into this corner space. Then you remember where we either chain 3 or did a double crochet. So at the beginning of that or the end, it would either be a double crochet, a chain 3, or a standing single. Do it in that one, and then you skip that sideways cluster, and then go back into that next space. Skip the sideways cluster, go back into that next space. Skip this one, go back into that space. So the spaces are obvious if you know that that's where you're supposed to go back into, okay? And I'm sorry that I didn't think to explain that before I cut the video off, but that's why I had to come back. All right, so if you just go in those naturally made spaces, it's almost as natural as the chain 3 cluster. The double the 3 double crochet clusters. So I'll meet you back at that top corner near the left hand neckline. Okay, so we're about getting to this front left corner of your collar. All right. I do apologize. It is early in the morning and my voice is just kind of croaky. All right, so by rights, you should not have a gap or a space up here in this corner. If you do, do this into that. If you don't, go to that very top, the top stitch, whether it's a chain 3 or standing single, stack single, do 3 double crochets in that one stitch. All right. Chain 2 to make your corner, and then do a double crochet, do another cluster, a 3 double crochet back into that same stitch, okay? That way you're making that corner nice and pretty. All right, go into that next space, do a cluster. You can speed this thing up, you can slow it down, you can pause it, you can fast forward it, you can do whatever to this point as you want to, but I want to stick with you because we're about to go into where we seamed for the shoulders, and then we're going to go along that back. It's not complicated, I just want to be here with you if you need it. If you don't, awesome. If you do, I am right here with you. I don't mind a bit, if you don't mind my craggly voice. All right. Now, right here, don't mess with this right here. Because we are kind of at a corner, this is where you seamed your shoulder, all right? So skip that spot. Go straight into the next space. Do your 3 double crochet cluster. All right, now you're going to work along the back side. The only reason why I said I was going to stay here with you is where we get to that center back seam. Because I said I had a preference on that bottom hem, and I did. But it doesn't ring true in this case up here on the top, behind the neck. And it might be the same for you, it might be different. And this is where, this is your creative choice. Okay, so here is where I did my seam. This is where I joined them together. And not a seam, but you know, it's basically a seam. Now, on the bottom, I didn't have a separation. I had a separation of 1 space. But here, I have 2 separate clusters that I'm working around. So I can't just jump from where I'm at to that next space. That would be way too big of a gap. So I'm going to do a cluster right in that join. I did not do that at the bottom. That's been a few days ago since I filmed that part of the tutorial, but I looked at it. And I looked at it on my cardigan, and I was like, yep, nope, I can't do that. So then I jumped into the back right panel. And see, it works beautifully this way. Because you're not skipping anything, and it's going to be even. And we're going to go right back into the other corner. And if you probably see that stitch marker over here that I forgot to take out. Working that new part-time job has had me all discombobulated, so this tutorial has taken a lot longer than they normally do for me. Alright, so don't crochet into where you joined them. Hop over here. Oops. Well, there should be a join right there, but I forgot that I did not when I did this, I didn't do it. Alright, so there would have been a space there between this one and that one. But this is the seam I joined on. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab that corner. Nope, I can't grab that corner. I'm going to grab right in here. Alright. You may not have this problem. If you don't, awesome. Just keep on trucking. Just go into the next space. But I'm going to go into the space right here. And it will not change the construction. This will actually match the other side. Because I will have my back cluster and then my collar cluster and then another collar cluster. So I will have 2 collar clusters before I go into my turning to my corner. And that's what I had right here. See? This is my back cluster, this is my collar cluster, and then my cluster going into my corner. And that's exactly what I've got right here. So it looked weird. I fooled myself there for a minute. This thing is so heavy it's falling off my desk. I'm trying to keep it to where it's not falling, but I still have good view in my camera. And yes, I have these tails I have to weave in. Grr. I cannot stand tails. Alright, so go in the top of that stitch right there. Make your 3 double crochet clusters, chain 2, and then 3 double crochets right in all into that same stitch so you can have your turn, your corner. Alright. So now that we have made our beautiful corner on the right side of our collar. Oops. I moved my mat. Now we're going to work all the way down the right side of our cardigan, and I will meet you at the corner, at the bottom. Okay. Now, this is where I'm going to say you can personalize it to your request, or to your preferences, or to your customer or gift-giving recipient's request. Now that you've come down the right side front, and you've hit this corner, slip stitch into that right there. You're going to see me, I changed yarn on that bottom corner only because I had these little balls of scrap from my first 2 and I wanted to use them up, and I figured the bottom the bottom seam of the cardigan would be about the best place, or the bottom trim would be about the best place to hide any of the color jumps. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to add this oddball in right here with my slip stitch so that it starts off. And chain 3, however you want to do your, to get the height for that first stitch, and to be equivalent to your double crochet. Alright, so what I think I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to hold these 2 together. Normally I would knot them, and I will. I was just trying not to have to do that while I was in the tutorial. And it made that stitch tight. Alright, so actually I'm going to have to do that anyway. I'm going to knot these so that I can crochet over them. Because we know me and doing weaving in ends. But this is where I said it's a personalization thing. Now, you can either go around one more time with a granny stitch cluster. I don't want any additional, so I'm going to go straight into my double crochet border, and this will be probably, you know, because I like just the one row of double crochet edge. So I'll probably just end up doing just one of these. Alright, so I did it into that stitch. And then just in every double crochet along, you're not doing any more clusters, so just double crochet into each double crochet all the way around. What we'll do, what I'll do is I will do this and come back at each corner if you, well, I'll come back at each corner. I was going to say if you want me to, but I don't have any way for you to tell me whether you want me to or not. So, if you already know how to do this, you're done after you go all the way around. But if you want to stick with me, I'll work through all the corners with you and whatnot. I forgot what I was going to say now, but sorry. So go ahead, double crochet into each stitch, and do your double crochet, triple crochet, double crochet into your corners, so that you don't have the gap, but you have that length in that middle stitch to give you that turning corner and nice and neat. But for those who do want to stick around, I will meet you at the front left corner panel, or the left panel corner. Okay, so I've went along the entire bottom edge, and see how pretty that is. I love it. I did end up having to change back into my current working yarn, but here we are at the corner. Now on this corner, you've gone into your last double crochet. So make a double crochet and then a triple. If you haven't done a triple, I'll show you how. If you have, just mute me, ignore me, whatever. So on a triple, you yarn over twice. You go in, you yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, and pull through 2. So you're basically doing it 3 times, which is why they call it a triple. And then you do a regular double crochet, and then you go right back into your typical single doubles. Doing your double crochets in each double crochet below. Okay? Easy peasy. And we're going to do that around that top collar corner on both sides. But I will include that here in the video, and we will see how this goes. Okay? I will meet you at the other corner. Okay. We have made it up to our left panel collar. We're going to double crochet and then triple crochet and then double crochet all into that corner. Oops. Wait a minute, did I just do 2 triples? I don't know. Pull it out to my triple. And you know you're going to see mistakes and all in mine, because I'm not going to be editing to take out my fails, because we all make mistakes, and I think it's better if, you know, people show their mistakes more often, because we're all human. Alright, so now I'm just going to double crochet around the corner, around the back. I'm going to double crochet around the back, double crochet to this corner, and then I'm going to meet all the way back at the very bottom where I started. Okay, and we will count that as done. So you will see the finished product. You will have seen this finished product at the beginning of the video. I will only do a very short Well, I didn't even say that, but I'm sorry. Because I was scared that the intros were way too long, so I'm going to make it short and sweet. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and finish this, and I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. I know it's not the most professional or, the best quality, but I did my best, and I actually enjoyed it, even if it took me forever. So, thank you for watching. Give me a thumbs up and a subscribe if you'd like to see more. I'm delving into a lot of different style videos, so you never know what you're going to get with me. I'm kind of like a box of chocolates, like Forrest Gump said. Thank you. And I hope y'all have a great day. Bye.